Mr. Mike Reagan, paint my face and send me home to rest my head once more. Look in my eyes to reach my soul and watch my spirit soar. Your guided hand is steered by God to paint and bring back hope. Portray the chain-connected link, entwine the knotted loop. Comrades are standing side by side, salutes the hand that draws. Last portrait to their folks back home so they can see once more. And then she says, I hope you like it, Mike. I'm a portrait artist. I was the artist for the University of Washington for 30 years, Marine, Vietnam vet, and decided to start doing portraits of fallen heroes from the war against terrorism, Iraq and Afghanistan, for their families for free 13 years ago. I was a 0311 infantry, so I did a lot of war stuff, but in between I did a lot of portraits of my friends, and sadly some of that was the only stuff that came home. So when I came home I knew I wanted to do something, and so I went to art school and I did this interesting thing where I would be doing a lot of celebrity portraits for a dinner theater in Seattle called the Cirque Dinner Theater. It no longer exists. But I met a lot of celebrities. When it closed, I continued to meet these celebrities in Hollywood, and I'd get them to autograph blank illustration boards, and I'd redraw their portraits and donate them around the country to different charities. The Republican Party called me and said, we'd like you to do a portrait of President Reagan. He's coming to Seattle. But the reason for that is that when I was in Vietnam, my last name and his last name are the same, and we always had this rumor that there was a relationship. So when I was in Vietnam, I would write to him because he was governor of California. And we spent 20 minutes with him. It was incredible. And when I walked in, he looked at me and he said, I did some research and we are related. But then 10 years later, I'm being asked to draw, George Bush. We presented the portraits to the president and first lady, and he loved the portrait I'd done of his wife. He said that I'd caught the sparkle in his wife's eyes, and so he was going to hang it in the Oval Office so he could see it every day. But then he and I talked about 9/11, and he said to me, he says, I can't tell you what we're about to do, but as a veteran, I need you to be aware of whatever you can do to help a new group of veterans that's going to come about. He said, just promise me you'll do that. I promised. A year later, I got a call from a woman named Sharice Johnson in Boise, Idaho. She said, I just saw your picture of your portraits, your story on NBC. How much would you charge to do a portrait of my husband? She said, he's a corpsman and he died last year in Iraq. I said, I can't possibly charge you. I did the portrait of her husband, Michael, and I sent it back to her. A couple days after I sent it out, I sent them all priority mail, got a call from her. She said, in a year, she said, I haven't slept one full night through. And she said, I'm only calling you to tell you this because she said, I called to say thank you. She said, because last night's the first night in a year I've slept all night. Shared that with my wife at the time. I said, now we need to do them all. She said, how are we going to pay for it? And I said, we're going to turn that over to God. I don't have time to worry about that. When you suffer that kind of close loss that just takes your heart and crushes it, I truly believe that I can do something that's going to help that. The portrait that I just did in San Antonio and the 5 I did prior to that in Dallas and the 4 I did in New York, all went to the families, and I've heard the same thing back from all of them. The pictures are helping their hearts heal.
I'm extremely proud of what he's doing, and I've seen over the years the commitment it takes for him to do this project. Getting Mike away from the table can sometimes be a chore, but it also needs to be done. Bring him back to reality for a while, think about something else, talk about something else, let him vent and be there for him.
I had a Gold Star dad call me one time and he said, you know what you're getting out of all this? I said, okay, what am I getting out of this? He said, your soul has gotten to come home from Vietnam. Second he said it, I knew he was right.